cities are the future of India, and one of the biggest city shifts that are happening around us in the NCR is in the NCR region, specifically with Noida and with Greater Noida, which are turning into major hubs for India's economic growth and development with electronic exports and many big companies moving here. Noida is showing great promise to turn into a global infrastructure hub, to turn from a UP city into a global city. So with one of the highest growth rates on real estate in India now. So we couldn't get a better panel to talk about how things are changing, how they should change and how they should change sustainably. Sahil Bachani, one of the most prominent real estate developers in India with huge investments in Noida and in Gurugram, and Sri Lakshmi, the Karta Dharta of the Greater Noida Authority. So let me begin with you, Sri Lakshmi ji. We have the Jewar Airport coming up in Noida, in Greater Noida very soon, probably around September. So what do you see as the impact of the Jewar Airport on the economy of that region and the plans that you have made and the ones that you are supervising to capitalize on that?
Thank you. I am glad that I am invited to be a part of this event. As far as Jewar Airport is concerned, I would say that getting an airport in the vicinity of a region like NCR, like close to the capital city, it will for once decongest the traffic which is in Delhi, and next to that it is the investment which we are expecting to attract. The regional connectivity, when it improves through an airport, it will bring more investors either in IT, real estate, industry, because the travel of both professionals as well as fleet will be, greatly improved by this Jewar Airport. So there will be huge attraction for the investment, as well as the regional tourism also will be promoted. As you know, we have this Agra as well as Mathura, which is nearby, and so in all manners, it will be boosting the economy because more investment will be coming to the region. And also improving the connectivity.
How much investment are you expecting?
Depends on, we plan to attract more of industry as well as IT sector and also promoting the tourism. That is what we are.
Sahil, you've made a really big bet on Noida. I think you were talking outside around 6,500 crores in that whole region, Noida, Greater Noida, and the wider region. How are you seeing the evolution of this region with the airport coming in, the area becoming a new hub for logistics and transport and things like that?
No, thank you for having me here. So the first thing that we see, Nalin, in Noida is that the physical infrastructure has always been fantastic. If you go back, it's been a well-planned city. There were challenges around safety, security, which over the last few years have been addressed largely. What was lacking is a huge element of social infrastructure. Now we believe with investment across industry, as ma'am mentioned, across GCCs, global capability centers, across real estate investments and other sectors, we are very confident that the social infrastructure of Noida will evolve to really make it a city of choice and a destination in itself. The other aspect, I think it's a more important point of a global trend that we are seeing, Nalin. If you see how America was developed with suburban cities, where you worked in the middle of the city and you lived at the other end of the city. Whereas the current model where the world is going to today is what is called the 15-minute city, where you can live, you can work, you have your healthcare, your education and other needs within a commute of 15 minutes per se. So we believe that's the future, that's the sustainable way to grow. And this the airport that's coming up is a step in that direction for those micro cities there. So yeah, we are very confident, not just for Noida, but for the NCR at large.
And that's a very evocative idea, the idea of a 15-minute city. So Sri Lakshmi ji, I mean, when you're looking at investment plans or how do you attract, you're also in a competitive world, right? So when you compare, say, Greater Noida with areas, with other growth centers in India, like Sri Perumbudur in Tamil Nadu, with Whitefield in Bangalore, with Pune, with Hyderabad, what is your competitive advantage in your view? What are you telling companies? Why come here and not go there?
So there are two things I feel which is USP of Greater Noida. One thing is that Greater Noida is a greenfield project. So it was not that it was once a center or a city in olden days and it later it got developed or it grew. It was entirely planned from scratch. So the land was acquired and plans were made. The sectors were made. Different sectors for residents, commercial activity, industry, institution, all were planned. Broad streets, green areas, open spaces, all were planned. So being a well-planned city, which is, in just a handful all over India, is one big thing, people prefer. It is not just a profession or work which people now look for. It is like livability in a city which actually helps make people choices. So in that way, Greater Noida is a well-planned city and people from Delhi even prefer to come and settle down in Greater Noida and commute from there in that manner. So because these sectors are segregated, it is very, organized. And the infrastructure which has been developed, be it water lines, be it the roads, and be it the sewerage system or the solid waste management, everything are of high standards in the city. The second point is that, the another unique feature of Greater Noida, it is at the cross junction of eastern and western dedicated freight corridor, as well as it is connected to the major highways in a very short distance. For instance, the Yamuna Expressway or the Eastern Peripheral Expressway, Western Peripheral Expressway. By infrastructure wise, it is at a junction of all these major roads and railways. And now again, as we have discussed, we have the Jewar Airport. So these two features where, are something which is unique only to Greater Noida.
Which are the industries you're focusing on, attracting specific industries, key focal areas?
See, being in NCR, we'll have to, we have these categories of industries which are only permissible. So, as per the norms, we can, do for such kind of industries. But again, high-tech industries as well as IT companies are what we are, planning in our near future, next future. Foreign companies, investors are also invested, provided this strategic location.
Sahil, she made a very important point about livable cities, and we'll come to that in a second. But before that, I wanted to ask you that as somebody who's really invested your money in Noida, also in Gurugram, about 3,500 crores or something like that, around that number. When you look at the larger real estate landscape of India, and you look at these two regions, what's your prognosis on real estate? Would it be fair to say that Noida is now where maybe Gurgaon was 15 years ago at an inflection point, where things were just taking off? Would that be a fair comparison or not?
So, Nalin, 2 or 3 points. First, the prognosis for NCR, in my view, is very, very optimistic and we are very bullish. Because if you're mostly from the northern part of the country, this is the tri-city that you will most likely want to live in. This is the economic hub, this is the infrastructure hub, this is where a lot of activity is happening, so you'd want to live here. Within that, I think that Noida, like I mentioned, has a huge opportunity to really evolve into a twin city, into another city. It doesn't have to be either or. It has to have the social infrastructure is what is missing today. And I'm sure with the coming of companies like Microsoft, Google, Amazon, and many other companies, there's going to be a huge opportunity for everyone to be able to see the city evolve. The larger question you ask is still one that we have to address, I think, for NCR at large, which is how do we make this city more livable? And I think we have challenges with respect to air pollution, we have challenges with respect to infrastructure, the walkability of the city. Climate change is only aggravating some of those problems.
You have 2 small children, I have 2 small children. Is this city livable for us?
I think we have to step up and take a little bit more ownership to see what we can do to make our cities more livable and more habitable. Of course, it has to happen with under the purview of the government, and we have to, kind of work with them and enable them to see
So what's the way
what
out?
we can
Do you see more public-private partnerships? Because, in India we have this whole thing that you clean everything inside your house and that's perfect, but you just dump everything outside. So how do you deal with that kind of stuff?
I think there are multiple layers. The first is we definitely need to increase our own sense of civic awareness. we have to, exactly to your point, we make sure that our four walls are very clean. But what do we do about outside? And as real estate developers, I say this for our fraternity, we've been having discussions to say, how can we take more ownership? How can we make sure that the surrounding external environment or external infrastructure is as good as how we build our internal infrastructure? So those are some of the challenges and questions that we deal with. But absolutely, I think the biggest risk for the city is that the livability aspect of the city is decreasing and it further gets worse. So we cannot afford.
Dr. Jaishankar, thank you very much for joining us at the Rising Bar.
At a civic level to see what we can do at an individual level. The second is as institutions to be able to do what we can do outside our footprint as well. And the third obviously is a deeper level of public-private partnership. I don't want to suggest that this is not happening, but I think that we need to do a lot more to really make the city livable.
Sai, let me ask you another question. Sri Lakshmi was talking about IT companies as moving towards Greater Noida and their focus on that. From your point of view, you've invested in three kinds of things, and we were talking about that outside, on housing for senior citizens, on group housing, and for office spaces. What are the kind of companies that you think are moving here, and why, as opposed to other places in India?
I think there is a lot of traction that we are getting from the manufacturing sector. You heard the previous panel with the co-founder of a mobile brand called Nothing. He was talking about that. They manufacture in Noida. So we are seeing manufacturing come in. Two, we are seeing the new wave of services set up, which is global capability centers that are coming in. Hyderabad is a big market, and now Gurgaon and Noida are emerging as big destinations for global capability centers. And three, banks, services, and other functions as well are moving in. So what I think with the population and the scale and size, people are realizing that these are all micro markets within it. So it's not a question of being in either one or the other, but in being more efficient, in being able to have presence across the spectrum. So that's exactly what we are seeing. So we are definitely seeing a huge inflow of investment, of companies, of services that are coming in. My only point that I want to make is that while we are doing all of this and we are all wanting to participate in the economic opportunity of it, there is a larger responsibility to be able to do this with heart, to be able to do this while keeping the future of the city in the mind, and for people like us to make the city a better place for our kids to inherit.
Sri Lakshmi, we talked about the airport, and I think you talked about the multimodal hub. We also have the idea of this being a new area for the railways and a larger corridor being built. If you can talk a little bit about that for transport, with the role of railways in that, for Greater Noida in particular.
So, eastern and western dedicated freight corridors are two important, means of transport of goods. And for cities which are and states which are landlocked, most of the goods movement happen through the road or the railways. So for the entire belt of states which are on the northern part of India, it's just the railways and the roads which will cater to it. Being a confluence of these two important railway lines that is located in Greater Noida, there is a project which is under process. It is just under the final stages from the cabinet. Multimodal logistic hub is being developed under one of our SPVs which we hold, which is named as Integrated Industrial Township, Greater Noida Limited, in which we are 50% partnership with the Government of India. So we are developing this multimodal logistic hub at the confluence of these two railway lines. And this will cater to freight movement for the inland, which is landlocked, and towards the major ports of our country. And hence it will be boosting the industries which are located in this particular belt. Also, it will attract more investment because more companies would want to invest in this region because this goods movement has been facilitated.
See, you served in Mirzapur before this, and you served in other in rural areas in UP before taking on this role with the Greater Noida Authority. What's the big difference you see here? And I want you to speak to that a little bit in comparison to others. In UP, for example, crime rates have changed a great deal in the last few years, and also this idea of livable cities that Sahil talks about. What's your focus on that, and how do you compare Greater Noida with other parts of UP at the moment?
See, Greater Noida, as I had mentioned before, it was a greenfield project, and the government wanted to develop a industrial city, industrial authority, and facilitate industrial development. So, Greater Noida cannot be compared to other districts, and every district, like for instance Mirzapur, I did serve. Every district has got their own, unique feature. For instance, in Mirzapur, which is an economic booster, is not industry per se, but it is religious tourism. There is a famous temple called Vindhyavasini Temple, and a Vind corridor has been, newly commissioned by the government there. And the source of, the driver for economic growth in Mirzapur is religious tourism. And nearby we have this Prayagraj as well as Varanasi district, which makes it a kind of, a circuit kind of thing, where people have, an entire circuit to visit when they are in that area. So, every city or every district has got their own unique features. It's not like, so development in that, it was identified at a later point of stage. Maybe they were back runners, but it doesn't mean that they don't have potential. So, it was realized, and those cities and districts are being developed in such a manner that their strengths become their, drivers of growth. So, it is in one way, maybe they are lagging behind, but they will be picking up very soon.
Sahil, you raised about 800 crores, Max raised about 800 crores in QIPs last year. Can you tell us a little bit about how you're investing that money and the big bets you're making and why?
Yeah, so we are focused, firstly, we are absolutely a very deep focused regional wise. Our belief is that you cannot do real estate pan-India. So we are focused on just the NCR region, which is Noida, Delhi and Gurgaon. Within that, our focus is very clear. Our ideology is that we want to create developments that enable well-being for people who either live there or work there. And the third lens that we take is to be able to live, we are currently catering to two segments, which is the senior living segment through our brand Antara, and the luxury residential segment through our brand Max Estates. And then we have the office segment, which is commercial developments that we rent out. So we are very focused in that sense in terms of our asset classes, where we operate, in the geography that we do. But more than that, it's a deeper purpose that we are connected to, which is the ability to truly bring well-being into each of our spaces. And we spend a lot of time, effort, energy, capital to be able to do that through nature, through F&B, nutrition, through art, through community, through our value of Seva Bhav, etc. Just to give you an example, in our development in Noida, we've done about a 600,000 square feet office space, and in the middle of that we've put a 15,000 square feet forest. So people walk through that to get to their work, and we believe through research that these aspects promote mental, physical, emotional and social well-being. And we spend 80% of our time in our life in the built environment, either in the offices or at residential, in our homes. So the impact of this is huge. So we are connected to this larger purpose, and we are trying to do it in a conservative way financially and in a deeply focused way geographically.
Shri Lakshmiji, we've also had in recent months this idea of New Noida, which has been put forward by the UP government, by Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath, which is about redeveloping about 84 or 85 village blocks into a totally new entity, just like Noida and Greater Noida. Now that will have an impact on Greater Noida and the way where you sit, but also on the larger economy of Western UP. So how do you see that kind of integrated development, both for where you are sitting, but also for the larger region, and in the context of Viksit Bharat by 2047? So,
the development of this entire NCR region, bordering Delhi, especially of Uttar Pradesh, has been, it began with Noida, and now in the second, later on, Greater Noida was developed. These are all contiguous areas. So, it, this new Noida is a region which is just adjacent to the greater Noida area. So it so happened that in Noida, there is a huge demand for land from the industry and the other investors. But because being an old city, the land bank has been somewhat saturated. So this area is being developed to cater to this rising demand. Entirely in the area of NCR, there is a huge demand for investment, be it industry or real estate or anything for that matter. So New Noida is one such, again, greenfield project which is under the process of development. In addition to that, adjacent to New Noida, there is a Yamuna Expressway project which is also underway, which is another region which is getting developed. So these all are contiguous parcels, and up to Agra, this entire area will be well planned as it happened with Greater Noida, so that it will cater to the rising demands of the industry, IT sector, institutions, and educational institution, all these things. And it will be supplementary, not affecting the growth of another region per se.
So Sahil, at a very broader level, and then you talked about developing the forested area, for example. In an age of climate change with huge climate fluctuations, we see what happens in the NCR region, the pollution every year where it becomes unlivable for 3 or 4 months, and a lot of families then move out, those who can afford to. Move out for some time, at least among the upper echelon of society. So as a builder, as a real estate developer, how does that change the way you look at your business models and in terms of sustainability in the environment that we are in now?
That's a great question. If you think about it, the tailwinds to the sector are the growing economy. I think everybody here discusses that, okay, if we don't have a great year, we may not grow 8%, but we'll grow 6%. I was just talking to some of your colleagues earlier. They were saying that India seems very well placed with what's happening at the global world today. With all of this, I think the growth is kind of given. We may have a few years of ups and downs, but the growth is given. The big risk is exactly what you said, that the cities don't become livable. And that's why we are talking about it. That's why we are trying to do more than we can do about it, and that's the main focus area, because the biggest risk to industry, to development, to society here is the ability that our cities get worse and not get more livable. If you look at it globally, by the way, London at one point was not a livable city. The pollution in London was so bad that people could not, there was disease that was rampant, but they fixed it. I understand that some cities in China have also been able to fix it. Right. So I think that there is an intention that has to start with oneself first, to be able to be more responsible, to do what we can, to, like we discussed, to make our cities more livable. And I think that's the big risk for all our business.
You mentioned London, and the Thames once used to be as dirty as the Yamuna, but now it's, and if you look at other great European cities, and now a cleanup of Yamuna has started in the NCR region. Let me put this to you. As an urban planner, what are your top 2-3 priorities in terms of building a livable city, and how should that change as we go forward with the environment changing around us?
So always the priority will be to give projects which are pro-environment, be it transport, be it developing buildings adhering to green building codes. They are even incentivized by giving them additional floor area ratio spaces, which is, if they get it certified, they get it free of cost. So there are n number of incentives as well as prioritization of the projects which are pro-environment in our authority. So this is one way that how we will be promoting this environment, and that will be our priority, that will remain, because we also believe the fact that unless the cities are sustainable and unless that future generations are their life is also, unless it is made safe, doesn't make sense only building up cities as for today. Concrete jungles are made out of nowhere, doesn't make sense. So our first priority will be to focus on pro-environment initiatives and projects. Second thing that we would like to, facilitate public transport. Like he had mentioned the example of London and many European countries, they promote public transport. They have no vehicle zones which are constructed. So these things are also, in the pipeline, providing for cycle tracks, pedestrian tracks, and open spaces where people can just come get together, and no vehicle zones. These we are also creating more of busways, so that more public transports are in place, and electronic buses are also being promoted in our. So that is our second priority, promotion of public transport and public spaces. And the third thing is that what he had also mentioned, like how he has made his building with a green space in the between, which is actually commendable, I must say. Such kind of initiatives, we need youth. When IT companies are there in our city, or more youth will be there only if they find the workplace and their living space.
And also the idea of social infrastructure, which Sahil pointed out, which I thought is an interesting thing. That's the difference between Noida and Gurgaon at the moment, right? In terms of really livable spaces where people can go out and feel safe at late night, for example.
Absolutely, and some part of that is also supply creating the demand. We definitely hope, that with the planned approach that the bureaucracy and the government is taking, with what they call the double engine government at both Delhi and in Haryana and in Uttar Pradesh today. So we have the most optimistic we've been, and we look forward to this very positively.
All right. Thanks very much, Sahil. Thanks very much, Lakshmi ji. And that's all we have time for. Thanks very much.
Thank you, everyone. Distinguished guests, as we speak, India's biggest sporting extravaganza, the IPL, is on in full swing, showcasing India's emergence as a global sporting destination. Fans are now getting immersed in those edge-of-the-seat moments at the stadium right through their mobile phones, aided by deepening digitization. Now, this has transformed the economics of sports in India, and how? The success in cricket is now spilling over into other forms of sports as well, with investments pouring in and talented athletes rising to the fore. We are witnessing a new era of Indian sports with consistent success in athletics, hockey, shooting, wrestling, boxing, and badminton. And why stop there? India has set its sights on the ultimate sporting prize, hosting the Olympics in 2036. The excitement is palpable. So let's find out from our esteemed panelists, Harsh Jain, CEO and co-founder Dream Sports, Mohandas Pai, Chairman Aaron Capital Partners, and Vivek Vadva, CEO Bionix Biosciences, who is an academic, entrepreneur and author on what's transforming India's sports. So join me in welcoming them to the stage for a session that's titled Be a Sport, Bharat's $1 billion digital play. We are in conversation with my colleague Chandra Srikanth.
We have an excellent panel. Let's have a huge round of applause for Harsh Jain, Mohandas Pai and Vivek Vadva. Harsh Jain, who runs one of the most